Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF everything in that shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben
on Spoiled Rotten.
on that jail.
Boom. Well, we are back. We've got an episode about DCEU villain tier lists. Yeah, and you hopefully heard our MCU version of that, and now we're doing the DCEU, which means from Man of Steel till Aquaman 2.
Yep. And I will say right off the bat, this was a harder tier list for me to start placing around just because I'm like, I forgot so many of these villains, and because they're not, a lot of these were just not memorable, right? And that's why we no longer have a DCEU, I guess. But it was definitely a lot harder than the Marvel tier list for sure. So I'm very excited for today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if it's harder so much as I just have less interest in these characters in general.
Yep. I chose the word harder to be nice about it. But you're right. I had less interest in a lot of these characters compared to the Marvel stuff.
Because I
But
think
still got to rank
for
it.
the universe they're in, there's some good stuff. I just feel like people like to dunk on the DCEU, so they're like F tier, all of it, and I'm like, no, can't be that.
That's just too. That's lazy. That's just lazy.
Yeah,
Is what that is.
I'm thinking of within this universe and the limitations that clearly were on this thing. How do they fit into this universe?
Yes.
And sorry, yeah, if you didn't listen to our MCU episode, we are ranking based on their look, which is like comic book accuracy, or even if it's not accurate, do we just like the look of it? Their overall arc, they kind of the casting, like what was the performance like, and their plan, like how well did they execute their plan as villains? All right, here we go. Let's start off.
And I will say we're moving in chronological order.
Yeah, sorry. As I said, we're going from Man of Steel till Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Even though I don't think I put anything from that last movie, since there are basically no new characters in that movie. So
yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to give people a time frame, but as Ben mentioned, yes, we are doing this in order. So first villain we will talk about is Zod, as played by Michael Shannon.
Yep. I had this as an A tier character.
Me too. I don't have. I mean, yeah. I think he had a plan. I mean, he certainly has gumption, right? Like he was willing to go to jail for his beliefs, and then he came back and he tried his best. I mean, he's kind of a bummer what they did with him afterwards, turning him into Doomsday or whatever. But
I agree.
For the Man of Steel aspect of it, he's definitely A tier. I think he's one note, but as we said, that doesn't have to be the death of a character. It really is like, I'm glad to see he's got the conviction to really stick it out and try and get his thing done.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing I liked about everything that he was I'm like, I genuinely understand where he's coming from. Like he's got this programmed kind of thing of like, it's all about saving his people, saving Krypton and all that kind of stuff. It's something that I'm genuinely impressed by. And his look, I don't know whether or not it's comic accurate, but anyone that could be menacing and pull off that haircut, I've got to give something to.
Yeah,
because that bowl haircut is just funny to me.
Also, I feel like when they get back to him in the Flash, he's actually one of the characters that they're like, oh, we're just not going to beat him. It's just actually he wins. So I would give him an A.
Yeah, for sure. Next on the list is Theora Oh. And I'm not even going to be able to.
I'm going to try and do her name. I tried to look up how to pronounce everyone's name. Antia Troa.
Yep.
That is. I went and looked up how people pronounce it, and I wrote it out as Antia Shoa. I love her. I don't. I mean, again, she's. I think she gets taken out, but it's because she's just like, yeah, I know what I want to do, and I'm gonna get it
Mhm.
done. I mean, to me, she's A as well. I'm not really like, she didn't really fail anything, and I'm pretty sure I know people will allude to the movies, but I think she's just a new character. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, and she looks like she's a part of Zod's crew.
Yeah, yeah. I say I had her at B tier because to me, I'm like, oh, okay, you're following Zod's plan. You don't necessarily have a plan of your own, which is important to recognize that the hierarchy command within that army would have made sense to do that. But that would have
This
been
is
the
why
only
I like her
knock.
as A, because I'm like, you're actually getting things done within your mean. You're not like, you're not
Mhm.
messing it up for your higher up. You're not
Yeah.
like, you are a key part of your higher up's plan, and you execute.
Yeah, you're a team player. So that was the only reason why I had it at B. I can definitely see why that's an A thing, just because it's like, okay, well, you're not going to talk to a soldier about what their plan is. It's just, no,
Yeah,
what were they
she's just a straight
commanded
up
to do?
soldier
Yeah,
and doesn't fuck it up in my
yeah,
eyes.
I agree. She doesn't fuck it up, and she's great. I mean, she's the physical intimidation that she brings,
Hmm.
awesome, absolutely awesome stuff. So yeah, I'm more than happy moving her to A tier for sure.
Excellent. Oh, got out
Next
of it.
on the
Next
docket,
is Lex Luthor,
Lex.
Jesse Eisenberg. I think if people listen to this podcast, they know I like this uh, version of him.
Yep.
I am open to suggestions, but obviously my bias is I liked this version of it.
Yeah, I liked him too. I just didn't think he was strong enough to be S tier. And that's largely because I'm like, I didn't get to see you actually do anything beyond Batman versus Superman. And although the plan in Batman versus Superman was really, really good, it was just it didn't get
So,
to the Lex Luthor status that I was expecting or
so to
hoping to
me,
do.
his like Zemo, his plan worked. Like,
Yes.
he didn't like Superman. Superman's dead at the end of the movie.
Yep.
He got there. He also made Batman look like an idiot. Not my favorite, but he certainly made Batman look like an idiot and do a
Mhm.
lot of his dirty work for him.
Mhm.
Uh, Comic accuracy. He does have the big orange hair, like in the comics for a time.
Mhm.
I think
And
at
then he
the
gets
end they go
bald.
bald.
Yeah, he gets
I
bald
didn't
by the
love
end of
that,
it.
but I mean they went for it. They
Sure.
did it.
Mhm.
Uh, an arc, yeah. I think you only ever see him again in the Justice League movies,
Yep.
freeing up Deathstroke.
And
Uh,
whether or not that's actually officially canon or just like whatever, it doesn't even matter anymore.
well,
But
he's in
I do
both. He's
agree.
in both freeing up
Yeah,
Deathstroke. It's just what he says at the end is different, I think.
true, true. That's I would have been excited to see what he like the team he would assemble to try to take out the Justice League, all that kind of stuff. But you're right. His plan is pretty damn good, and the fact that he gets to I know that we just talked about this Zod being turned into Doomsday. I thought that was a quite elegant way of actually being like, how are they going to get Doomsday in such a short time kind of time frame? It's like, oh yeah, mutate him in this kind of thing. Smart. So yeah, I have a feeling I'm moving him from A to S.
Oh, you were gonna go to S. Wow. I mean, I will take it. Look, I really
Right.
like him. I was just gonna be like, I want him at A, but if you think he's S, I'm down.
I mean, I'm down to move him up to S. I mean, like it it makes sense compared to who I actually have at S tier. I can't say that he's got a. The only knock against his plan was just like, oh, okay, the way they edited this movie made it look like it wasn't him, but like in the
Yeah, when you
actual,
watch the Ultimate Edition, you understand everything he did to
yeah,
get there.
and it's just so much smarter and so much better that way. And it's not only that too, but how he influenced Congress. To me, I'm like, yeah, this has got to be an S tier villain, right?
He got he got what he wanted out of it.
Yep,
Even and then I think if you use the Joss Whedon version, even though he ends up in jail, he's like, doesn't matter. Like the bell's already been rung. Like whatever is gonna happen is happening now. It's all set into
yes,
place, and Superman's dead, which was really what I wanted out of this. So,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I keep going back to the when he shows the pictures of Superman's mom to him. I'm like, this is fucking chilling.
yeah.
He is. he's winning right now.
Yeah, he's got that mastermind for sure, and I would have loved to see what his character would have gone into, but based on what we did see, um, and I think you and I have said this on podcast quite a few times that longer cut should have just been the theatrical
Yeah.
cut because the theatrical cut's just a nightmare. You're just like, wait, what? Oh,
Like,
yeah,
obviously we know why that happened, but
yeah,
even
of
with
course.
Snyder's latest movie, he's like, "Here, I put out the shit version. Don't worry, there's a director's cut coming." So I'm like, "No, just put your movies out." You
Yeah.
like, we know why you had the restriction on Justice League. I mean, we don't, and obviously there was a knee jerk reaction to BVS, but like, yeah. Anyway, I agree. It should have been the first one. Okay, KG Beast.
No
Well,
God.
they certainly didn't try and make him look like the comics.
Nope. And I was like, oh, that's KG Beast
Yeah, I feel like you
after the
wouldn't
fact.
know he was KG Beast unless you read ahead of time.
Yeah, yeah. So I put him to D tier.
I mean, I was gonna put
Wasn't
him
a
in
big
F,
deal.
but like, sure, he sure
Yeah,
did.
I mean, I'm more than happy going putting KG Beast to F tier because I'm just like, oh, they just did not know how to even blatantly be like, this is a comic character, you should care about it. It's just like, oh, I thought that was just a henchman.
Yeah, just a complete lack of effort
Yeah.
on that.
All right, F tier. We're downgrading it. Well, I am.
All right, Mercy Graves, Tao Akamoto.
Same
So
debate
this
that I
is,
had with KG Beast.
yeah,
Is
I
D
it's
or
such
F.
it is such a disappointment because I know Mercy Graves from the cartoon, and she's so cool in that.
Yeah.
And Lex Luthor kills her in this, and it's not really certain why, but they make a point of showing that that wasn't part of the plan and that she's genuinely shocked by it. So I'm just like, they didn't care about this character.
Yeah, they did her dirty. I'm moving her to F tier.
Not uncommon in the Snyderverse, but
Yeah.
still a bummer.
I will say the only reason why I originally had her at D tier was I'm like, okay, comic accurate, sure.
I mean, does she talk in it even? Oh yeah,
I don't.
Does she ask Bruce about where he's trying to go?
I think so. Like one or two lines. It was just like, oh, okay,
Even
you were
that, I'm like,
treated as
no,
an extra.
Mercy Graves needs to talk. She can't just be there.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like we know from the animated series and all that kind of stuff how actually intimidating she is, but in this world, you're just like, yeah, no one's really afraid of this Mercy Graves, let alone knowing who this Mercy Graves actually is. So yeah, I'm either D or F.
I put her at F.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
All right, here we have Doomsday. Don't know who played him. There was all those rumors about Michael Shannon putting on flippers and stuff. I don't know if that's true, but we're just gonna leave it at Doomsday, a CGI creation.
Yep. I've got Doomsday at B.
B?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, he kills Superman. He did what he was made to do.
He did what he was made to do, but not at all the character that we know from any other adaptation. It was just like, here, I'm going to use you as muscle. And he got killed pretty quickly afterwards, which is just like, oh,
yeah.
Yikes.
I mean, I agree with you with B because can't really go lower. I mean, maybe people could, but I just feel like if you do what you were made to do, then that's got to get you high enough up on the tier list.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I completely agree.
I mean, he doesn't look necessarily like Doomsday, so I know that knocks some points off. He doesn't truly have any arc, really. It's just he was made to kill Superman. He kills Superman, then he's done. So I can't knock the fact that he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Doomsday is B tier.
Deadshot, that's played by Will Smith. I'm open to interpretations here.
Same.
You have him at C. So here's
No, I do not.
Oh,
I have him at A.
Oh,
and
see,
I will say my bias towards this is purely because of how much I love Will Smith.
Yes, that is my bias. But so there's a bunch of things. He'd come off a streak of being really dour in movies, and it seemed like he was actually having fun in this.
I agree.
I'm pretty sure that was the Margot Robbie effect, but we can't get too deep into that. But he's having fun, but they go for the looks, right? They do the like that hat and jacket look. They do the mask.
Yep.
All of the comic looks for the most part are there.
Hmm.
Um, and of that Task Force X, he's the one that comes out the best. Like he got exactly what he wanted out of that, which is time with his daughter.
Yes.
No, everyone else is back in jail. I mean, I know he's visiting, but it is like he can leave and he can come and go and like gets the time with his daughter.
Hmm.
Um, and he takes care of business. Like that first scene where he's like, "I'm adding more money because you're being a dick about this, and
Hmm.
you're gonna have to do that." And then he's got that scene where he's on the cop car just mowing people down, and you're like, "Oh yeah, like he's not to be fucked with."
Yeah, it's legit so good. What he does here, and is it his plan? No, it's a Suicide Squad. It's Amanda
But
Waller's
he's
plan.
working his
But
plan
he's
within
yeah,
that.
exactly. He's getting what he needs out of it or what he wants out of it. He's leveraging the situation the best he can, and that's why I'm like he's at A, for
Yeah,
me.
I mean, yeah, they don't. I feel like in the comics, Deadshot has like a death wish. I don't think they put that in there, but otherwise,
No, yeah,
as I said, they've got the looks there,
yep.
and I found him an engaging character. Joker, Jared Leto, not great.
Yikes.
He's he's just not great. I mean, as I said, I gave him some slack when we first talked about it because it's very clear they cut. Well, I think they confirmed like more than half of his performance,
Yep.
but all we can do is go off of what is there. And one, I
Yeah.
don't like the look, like the whole damaged tattooed on him, the like broken teeth. Only because they don't get into that backstory. Like I think it was released like, oh, that was because Batman punched his teeth out when he killed Robin or whatever. But I'm like,
Right.
that's not referenced in the actual movie. And again, not having his performance in the actual movie. So it
Hmm.
does feel like a clip show of a performance.
Yeah, and it's also really, really weird to me when they do that whole like, and I get that this the Snyder cut and all that kind of stuff, but where they do that jump in the future where they have to actually work with him, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, your tattoos went away." Like, what the hell? Like that sucks. They pulled
Oh,
back
that.
on that
Oh, you're talking about
immediately.
the Justice League. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, he
Um,
did that in Suicide Squad.
no, no, not in Suicide, in
Yeah,
Justice League. It was just one of those things where I'm like, okay. I mean, I put him at B because I'm like, his plan were executed well. He got Harley back and all that kind of stuff. He's just, I don't, you're right. I don't like the look. I do like that purple alligator jacket though. I'm like, that jacket
okay.
was sick. But I'm like, aside from that, like the look,
I had him at
mm-mm.
C, but I feel like if we have Doomsday at B for executing the plan, then I guess what am I gonna do? Right?
You know,
The movie
that's
ends
why
with
I'm
him
like,
breaking out Harley Quinn.
yeah, I really had a hard time putting him at C because I'm like, he did what he wanted. It's just what he wanted is just so
Yeah, when you put it that way, yeah,
egotistical
no
and
one is stopping him from doing what he wants. No
yeah,
one is.
yeah,
He just really has everything else going against him.
yeah.
Performance, overall look,
Jared Leto.
and what we oh yeah, and comic accuracy.
Yeah, comic accuracy is definitely a dud there.
Oh, sorry, I meant arc, but yeah, 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 yeah. Anyway, B,
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't think people are gonna like this tier list.
No,
uh,
they're not. But
Harley, as played by Margot Robbie.
I got her at S tier.
Yeah,
I really like Margot. And again, like, is she completely comic accurate? No. They added some things with the tattoos and all this kind of stuff that, to me personally, upgraded this version of it as opposed to what the Joker's was, where it clearly was a downgrade because it was too much. But Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, she got the personality down right. Like when she's like, "What? Kill them all?" Oh, that was just the voices in my head. Like this
yeah.
is great Harley stuff.
I wouldn't have her at S tier if it was just Suicide Squad, but the fact that
Yes.
she gets her own movie and the Suicide Squad
Hmm.
definitely puts her at S tier. It felt like that was a character that was cared for, and talking about overall arc really worked for me.
Hmm.
And yes, I think the look, the performance are also very there. And kind of like Joker, no one truly can boss her around outside of that first Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
Because the second one they put her on the team to die and she still made it out of there. So
Hmm.
it shows that she is a step ahead. And obviously in her not quite solo movie, but her Birds of Prey movie, you see like she's got plans. She figures out. She makes some mistakes along the way, but she gets there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I really really like about her character is like that evidence room fight scene is just such a visually like
Yeah,
memorable
it's
thing.
amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. It's very much Harley.
That's the
They
other
put so
thing I
much care
forgot is
into
that
it.
she. I don't believe she's a threat to Superman, but of the people they
Hmm.
have on the team in that first movie when they said, "I'm like, yeah, she can actually beat the shit out of people.
Yep,
She is, she is a great combatant."
yep. I completely agree. I really really loved it. I loved the whole story arc of Birds of Prey and how she's like, I broke up with Joker and now people aren't afraid of me. I
Hmm.
have to reestablish my dominance. I'm like, that is really cool. I really, really like that. So I put her in S tier very easily.
Uh, Amanda Waller, Viola Davis.
Ooh, she's not lower than S to me.
No, she's an S tier. There's
Amanda Waller is Viola Davis does such a good job with her.
I feel like, and I haven't played the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, but I feel like outside of CCH Pounder, people kind of just throw away the line when they're
Hmm.
playing Amanda Waller, and
Hmm.
Viola Davis does not do that at all.
No.
She's it just feels like a character she as the Oscar winning actor she is, and she should have been a multi Oscar winning actor, but like
Yep.
just it feels like a character she could be like, yeah, whatever, I do these like I think Idris Elba's a great actor, but it seems like that could have been her like Idris Elba. I run the gates. I can't remember his name now, but
Hmm.
like where he's just like, yeah, whatever. I get paid. I'm here. Be happy with it. But she puts effort, even when she was in the Peacemaker show. It's
Hmm.
like she's putting effort into it and truly elevating the Amanda Waller stuff.
I completely agree. Like seeing her in Peacemaker, it changed my perception of her and all that kind of stuff. And I can't wait for a Peacemaker season 2 because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that. And hopefully there's more Amanda Waller in there. But she's an S tier character to me. Like everything she does, everything she executes, the idea, like even in the first Suicide Squad movie, where I'm like, oh, you're just straight up killing everyone in
Hmm.
this room right now. That's awesome. Like,
She's got her convictions and she sticks to it.
yep, 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 yep. Absolutely.
Captain Boomerang, Jai Courtney.
Oof. I got him at B tier, and I think I'm being generous with that. I
I
just don't
think
like
he has
Captain
to be at
Boomerang.
B. If we've got Joker at B, I think he has to be at B because I don't really know what the fuck his plan is. I mean, he's in Task Force S. They can't have a plan really, like, and
Right.
he's definitely. I think his plan is just like let me test what I can and can't do, and then he learns.
Yeah.
But I like him in both of the movies,
Hmm.
as that's got to go a long way. That I just enjoy the time with him,
Yeah.
and I'm glad they got rid of the racism for the most part and the sexism
Same.
again for the
Same.
most part. It's obviously not all gone, but
Yeah.
I I'm glad they did that, which might make people think he's not comic accurate, but I'm just like, we don't need that.
I think it's okay that he just kills people and robs banks. We don't need to add racism to his character for us to hate him. We already do hate him. It's just why go there? Yeah. The only knock would be comic accuracy, and I think that's what elevates him to B tier for me because I'm like the comic accurate look is silly as hell. Like I don't,
I
it's
think they
not
get
threatening.
the look they get. It's more just the full characters because
Yes.
I think Jai Courtney's performance is good. As I said, I
Hmm.
enjoy the time with him. It's just, and I think the look is pretty much there.
Hmm.
It's just in the first one he doesn't really use boomerangs to fight, and
Hmm.
then by the time you get to the Suicide Squad, you're like, oh fuck yeah, they did it. Like he's using his boomerangs properly,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he's not actually in it, but I like when Harley sees a wanted poster for him in Birds of Prey. She's like, I think I know that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Next on our list is El Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez.
I don't know, man.
I
I again putting Joker at B has really tied my hands here.
I try not to see it that way. I just try to see it as my enjoyment of the character. And like, yeah, I get what you're saying with Joker at B kind of being a benchmark for a lot of different things. But I was just so impressed with El Diablo in this one. His whole thing of his like, no, I'm past that. I don't want to do that kind of shit anymore. but when he's pushed against the corner, like he will just show up and was like the big bad of the whole movie. I'm like, that's awesome. That was
Well, I mean, he
cool to
wasn't the
me.
big bad. He's this. He
No,
actually saved them.
well, no, I mean like the big bad
He's the muscle
of
for sure. Like,
that's the better way to put it. Yes.
uh, yeah, I cared about him for a character that I didn't know about beforehand, and
Mhm.
as you said, wasn't really that keyed into for most of the movie. Not most of the movie, but at the beginning, I was like, yeah, whatever. And probably even was like, yeah, he could die, but then he does die, and I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would put him at B, but I don't know where you had him.
I had him at B. I
Okay.
haven't because like I'm like, okay, yeah, you're just it his arc was good. All like I liked it. But yeah, he's not that strong. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, I like all those things, but it still is playing off as I don't want to do this, so I'm just gonna be pacifist right now, which is not great from a visual standpoint, but it's great from a character standpoint.
Killer Croc, Adewale Akinoye Agbaji. I wish I really did the last name.
Mhm.
His last name I didn't do phonetically, but I got most of his name there. I'm sorry that I mispronounced his name.
Mhm.
I have him at D. I think he's a part of it. I don't love it, and
Right.
I know you didn't like the look of it, but I thought the effort put into his like the makeup of it all worked for me. That wasn't strictly CGI. That they actually put the effort into putting it, and knowing that actor, it did feel like a strong performance with terrible material.
I had him personally at C tier,
Okay.
a little bit higher, which I'm actually a little bit surprised about because you're right. I was a little bit more negative about Killer Croc than you were initially. I'm okay downgrading him a D, but that's largely because I'm just like, I don't. This Killer Croc doesn't make me scared at all for the level that he's supposed to operate
No,
at.
he's
It just
they're trying to do comic relief, which is why I
yes,
had him at D. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. And I'm just like that whole thing. I'm like, oh, really? Your whole thing is you just want BET?
yeah,
That
that was stupid.
that was
I try
stupid.
not to ever remember that, but
Yeah,
obviously you can't
yeah. B
forget.
tier it is.
Uh, June Moon, is that the sorceress? I can't remember what her name is.
That is the sorceress,
Okay, Cara
Enchantress.
Delevingne,
Yeah,
Enchantress. Boom. Thank you for saving us there. June
yeah.
Moon, Enchantress, Cara Delevingne.
I'm
Boy,
surprised
I
I
mean,
had this where I
it
did.
sucks for any of these characters that only show up in Suicide Squad because
Mhm,
she has her moments. Like when Amanda Waller's right next to her, being like, "Here's the point of her," and
mhm.
she goes and gets like Iranian intel. You're like, I mean, yeah, like that's it. But then they're like, no, she's gonna just shoot a beam into the sky, and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I like June Moon, and this sucks to say based on how Amanda Waller used her to
mm-hmm.
triangulate Rick Flag's kind of involvement in this whole thing. I'm like, okay, as a piece of a puzzle, she was really, really good. But I mean, for the most part, I was just like, there was a whole bunch of nonsense in that. Did she look good? Absolutely, she did. I think she looked really, really cool in the Enchantress form and all that kind of stuff. I kind of hated her in the June Moon form because
Well,
it
they
was
didn't
just like
do what
scared
they
kitten
needed
the
to do,
entire
which is
time.
make us care about her and Rick
Yes.
Flag.
Yeah.
It does feel like an afterthought the way it's edited, even
Hmm.
though it's very clearly a key point of the plan and
Hmm.
plot. Like Amanda Waller's like, absolutely, this guy falls in love with her, he'll do what I say.
Yep.
But it just doesn't feel like the movie is concentrating on that enough for it to land the way it needs to.
I agree. I agree. That's why I had her at D tier because I'm just
Sure.
like, you, her plan was to reunite with her brother, and she did not do that. Her brother kind of
No,
died right
the whole
away.
movie is her trying to do it, and it doesn't work out. So you're right.
Yep.
I just, yeah, I agree.
And she tore apart Union Station. How dare she?
How dare she? And Bay Station, like that secret Bay
Yeah,
Station.
the underground, the secret underground.
Slipknot is played by Adam Beach.
Oh, yikes. This was easily F tier for me.
Yeah, I don't think we have to say anything. What is to add insult to injury? They made him be like weird with women.
Yeah, because his character's backstory was, oh yeah, you're a serial rapist.
Yeah,
That's
not into it.
I'm
Yep.
glad that you're the disposable one of the Suicide Squad to illustrate to everyone else that Amanda Waller ain't fucking around. But a good villain that does not make.
No.
It is just slightly above KG Beast.
All right. Ludendorff, as played by Danny Houston
Mm,
from Wonder Woman.
mm, yep.
I don't know, man. It's everything that's weird about Wonder Woman is the villain stuff.
Yeah.
Because there is no doubt about it. He is a bad guy. It's just
Yes.
she's not the bad guy. He is not the bad guy she thinks he is. And so watching it, you're just like, oh, she's gonna still have to figure out he's not Ares.
Mhm.
And I mean, he gets to fight her. It's just, I don't know. I don't know where to put him. Where would you put?
I have him at B.
Sure,
Um,
I'm fine with that.
Largely because I'm like, yeah, you're doing your World War I thing. That's working out for you for the most part. Do you get to actually take over the world? No, but that's because they chose to ground the majority of the storytelling within reality as well, in the real world reality. So it's just like, okay, you're bookended. But during that whole process, what you're trying to do, was it working for you with the chemical warfare side of things? And we'll talk about that character later on, Dr. Poison, but it's just like, yeah, you're pretty effective at everything you're gonna do. And everything I dislike about this character was had more to do with Wonder Woman's treatment and like
Hmm.
naivety as opposed to anything else. But that's more of a Wonder Woman thing than it is for him. But
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with how we rank him.
mhm,
Ares, played by David Thewlis.
Ares.
Uh, I mean, for me, the best thing about him is when he shows back up in Justice League, and I'm like, oh yeah, there he is.
Yep.
I don't. I have him at C. I think like he is secretive, but to the point of like he just truly derails the point of the movie. When
He
you're like,
does.
that's not like the performance fault. It has really nothing to do with the character other than how the movie is written.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just like he even has his big boss fight after like an initial boss fight, and you're just like, yeah, I just want this to be over. I don't want. I don't care for this.
Yeah, I at that point I'm like, I don't care what he looks like. I just want this movie to be done. Because I'm just like, you made your point. Killing one person's not going to take away evil. And that's that. And
Yeah,
but then also we're going to make sure that she still has the Ares thing and all that kind of stuff to double down on that. I'm like, oh, it
because yeah,
sucked.
the only way he could be higher for me is if the movie was making a point that he legitimately was making people evil, but that's not the point of the
Absolutely.
movie. So
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, I mean, he certainly fucks with our protagonist. Like he at least does that, but I don't really know what he's going at or going for because the movie is undercutting that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had him at C. I'd
Okay,
be more than happy moving him down to D for that
I'm gonna put him at
exact same
C.
reason.
I
Okay.
think why not?
We're feeling generous today. Next
Doctor
on the
Poison,
list is Dr. Poison,
Elena
played by.
Anna.
Yeah, I'm glad you tried that instead of me. Oh,
Yeah, I'm
I'm pretty
glad.
sure I would have gotten Elena perfect, but Anaya. I like Dr. Poison.
Me too.
I put her at A because I'm like that look, her plan. She was doing all the things and legitimately like when the guy with the gas mask had the thing break. I'm like, oh, we're not messing around here with chemical warfare. This is nuts. I had her at A. Everything she needed to do, she did deliver on with the
Hmm.
the chemical warfare and all that kind of stuff. She looks
And
great.
I like her thing with Chris Pine, where she's like, what's his name? Steve Trevor. Where she's like, wait, I thought you were into me, and now I see you. Like, okay, fuck you. Here we go. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, hey, I thought you were a Nazi too. Hey, screw you. Yeah, I like Dr. Poison a lot. I had her at A.
All right, Steppenwolf, Ciaran Hines or Kieran Hines. I
Mm,
don't know how people like to pronounce that. I've been on record. I think this is a stupid use of Steppenwolf, but
I agree.
I like people are like, no, in the Snyder cut, it's so. I'm like, he's doing the same thing. I don't think it's smart. It's just now I know who he's talking to. Like,
Yep.
yes, the Whedon movie makes it so he's just talking strictly to the mother boxes as if they're his mother.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing. He's got some other non-issue character that he's talking to, and I don't feel interested in him. I don't
Yeah.
care that he looks different in the second version of it because it doesn't look better to me necessarily.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really was bummed out that this was what they had for us in terms of a villain in
Yeah.
the Justice League movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it wasn't ultimately his plan. It was just like, oh, you're executing based on what the mother boxes are telling you to do.
Yeah, the mother boxes
Yay.
are winning this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, whatever. We get it. Not great. I had him at C tier, and I think I'm being generous with it.
Sure, I will. We can do C tier.
I mean, if you, what did you have him at?
D.
Yeah, I'm much happier with D, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm moving him down to D.
All right, let's do it.
Dark Side. This one was tough.
So that's Ray Porter playing
Yep.
Darkseid. I don't remember him. If I'm being completely honest,
Mhm.
I think my only memory of him is at the end of the movie when Steppenwolf's head rolls to him and he steps on the head.
Yep.
He looks cool.
Yes.
I will not deny that.
The comic accuracy there was awesome. But did he get to do anything? No. It was the whole like Thanos moment. It was like, wait, I'll do it myself. It was like, if you get a chance to, buddy, and you clearly didn't. So
No.
we're just basing this on what we got, and what we got ain't much. But he does look cool. He was menacing, and it looked like there was a plan for invasion if Steppenwolf didn't
But I
screw
mean,
it
his
up.
plan was I'll wait until Steppenwolf tells me.
Yeah,
Because like, was it the whole thing like I don't know what I'm looking for, I can't find it, and
uh,
then Steppenwolf's like I found it, and he's like, oh okay, great, that's where I
well, he
left
knew
it.
what he was looking for. He
But
knew what
he
he was
didn't
looking
know where
for.
to
The
look.
anti-life equation, right?
No, I sorry. What I meant was he didn't know where to look for what he was looking for.
Right, and that's why I excuse it. The idea of like, yeah, why would you be looking for it for yourself? You're a dark side. You should be delegating this task, and to delegate it to Steppenwolf to find makes sense to me. But to me, I'm just like, okay, that's not a plan to take over anything. You that was the first part of your plan, and we didn't get any more. He looked cool. He did that. So, I mean, aside from that, I have him at B tier for those reasons.
B, that
Yeah,
seems very high.
yeah.
I gotta argue for at least a C here.
I mean, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I just think he looks so cool.
Yeah, he does, but
Yeah. All right. All right.
he feels like, especially when we take into consideration Arc, which seems like he's just done for now.
Oh, he's definitely done for now.
Well, sorry, I shouldn't say it. We obviously know he's done because the universe is over. But like,
Yep.
yeah, it just they had yeah, what a waste. He should have
Uh,
just been the villain.
yeah. I mean, like years from now, when we actually get to review phase one of the James Gunn era, I think and if Darkseid appears there, I'm sure that that character is going to be treated very, very differently.
Yeah.
Um, but
Uh,
right now, based on what we got, yeah, I'm more than happy with C.
okay. I'm skipping over Deathstroke. He's just there. He doesn't do anything. Isn't he? I know he's in like the Snyder Cut Justice League doing other stuff later, but I'm just skipping over him.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just acknowledging that right now.
yeah, he just gets recruited, doesn't really do anything,
He
not
looked
even
cool.
officially canon. He looked accurate, and I was excited for the
He is
casting.
canon because he's in the Joss Whedon one.
That's true.
He just has
He
way
just
less to do in that.
true. He looked great, but it's a lot of promise, nothing. So I think skipping him would make a lot of sense.
Orm, Patrick Wilson. Their attempt at Loki, but way less successful in my eyes.
Much less successful. I've got him at B.
Sure.
I don't really know what
I
Orm's
think
comic accurateness looks like, and
they gave him the look. They gave him
Yeah.
the look. I think if it was just the first movie, and I think people probably like him more in the first movie, I think he's just in a completely different movie, and it's like
Yes.
he's not really interacting with his scene partners properly.
Mhm.
He's acting well objectively, but I think part of that would have been meeting the rest of his cast on their level.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think a lot of what I like about him is how he adjusted for the second movie, which is a worse movie, but at least he feels better because it it looks like he realized what he should have been doing, and
Hmm.
then also the nature of his character has changed. But uh, yeah, I'm fine
Yeah.
with him at B.
Okay. Awesome. Black Manta. Yeah,
Yahya
yeah,
Abdul
Abdul
Mateen
Mateen.
the second.
I will say, I do think he's an A tier
I
villain.
do too.
I think his look being a one of the biggest things that's most impressive to me about his look is it looks comic accurate and it looks awesome because when you see the comic accurate stuff you're like that looks silly as hell. It's like a evil version of Hey Arnold.
Hmm.
But like this looks so good. I love the fact that you got to see where his convictions come from about how like yeah, Aquaman screwed up and like just left his dad to die there and all that kind of stuff. Of course you're creating a villain. Like every
It
part of
is
that makes
such a
sense to me.
weird choice by Aquaman.
It's so weird.
And it's just like,
But
what?
yeah, it's I understand it. He's well acted. I really like it. I just don't like in the second one where it's like, oh, cool, you're just possessed.
Oh no, I just don't like when he's like, no, just kill me. I was like, what? No,
Yeah,
fight for your rights. Fight for your rights to be evil.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a real big letdown that he was like, nah, I just want to die. I'm like, I feel like you guys are trying to do Killmonger, but that's a way different situation.
I agree.
Anyway, yeah, I we both had issues with how he ended up in Aquaman 2, but I think looks, performance, plan,
And
he did it. I mean,
yeah,
second movie is more of a plan than first. Like first is kind of he's sidelined on purpose.
mhm.
Uh, but by the second movie, when it's like, oh no, he is the villain. It's like, yeah, he's got his plan. He should have killed his dad. He did mess that up. But other than that, he's solid. I think A makes sense.
Mhm.
All
Mhm.
right, Doctor Savannah is played by Mark Strong. Uh, you know what? I was happy to see him in the second movie too. When he
Yeah.
showed up, I was like, oh, good, they didn't forget about him. I My bias is obviously I wish that Black Adam faced off against Shazam, but
Yes.
that's it's not Mark Strong's fault. It makes sense to start off lower than that. And
Yeah, that's the
in the
Rock's
first
fault.
movie, they really cared about Dr. Savannah. Like you see his backstory,
Mhm.
you are very aware of how he's constantly trying to prove himself because of what his dad and brother did to him.
Mhm.
So that's there. I don't know him from the comics, so I will have to say the first time I knew about him was when I saw the trailer. I was like,
Mhm.
okay. I don't know how comic accurate he is, but Mark Strong cared about the character, so that's good.
Yeah, and I really do like a good Mark Strong performance. He does give it a lot. And it's not his fault that he's in a movie where the main character is gonna feel like he's in a different movie altogether. You know what I mean?
But even when he's doing his monologue and Shazam is like, "I can't even hear you," like again, we keep coming back to this. That felt fine. Like that
Yeah.
felt like it didn't feel like the Ronan accuser thing.
Mhm.
It worked for me, and that you would be like, yeah, he's a bit unhinged, so there's gonna be some room there
Mhm.
to do that. And I thought, yeah, like I think at one point he said, "Kid, I'll kill you and your family. Don't get in my way." And I was like,
Mhm.
I believe him. I truly
Yes.
believe it when he says that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We've said a lot of stuff. I don't know where we. I could see him at A or B.
I kind of have him in A because
Okay.
like his plan was to find the Shazam people again. He does eventually, just
Yeah,
doesn't wasn't
he
successful
just
in getting the actual
and it's
Shazam
only
powers.
because they worked together. It's not
Yes.
because Shazam alone could overpower him.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I've got him at A, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think that's because I like Mark Strong so much.
Yeah. Oops, almost messed up this whole thing here. Yeah. Well, let's see who's next.
Mr.
It's
Mind.
as voiced by David F. Sandberg. I'll say it like he shows up at the end of both movies. I think he's funny,
Mhm.
and but he never quite gets to his plan. I mean, the thing is, the joke is he's working on it off screen,
Yep.
so we can't say he's not doing anything. I mean, for the amount of fun I have with him, I have him at B, but I don't care if you put him lower.
I have him at C. And again, it's
Sure,
just because I'm like, you didn't have a plan that you ever got to execute or anything like that. It was fun, but
sure.
it's all promise, all sizzle, no steak, which is consistent with anything related to Snyder. Um, yeah, I have him at C tier.
C tier it is. Black Mask, Ewan McGregor.
So I completely forgot about Black Mask. I completely
He's
forgot about
very
him.
interesting as a
He
character.
is good.
Like his like cleanliness and
Mhm.
killing that woman because she sneezed.
Mhm.
Like that's some good stuff.
It is some good stuff. And like I love the mask. Comic accurate for sure. Does he spend too much time out of it? Probably, but that's because Ewan McGregor's got a good looking face.
Yeah, and also that would look weird on screen. If
Yes,
I'm being honest, I don't actually want to see him like deliver cool lines and there's no lip movement or anything.
I agree. I agree. And it's just like, cool, we haven't gotten to the point where the mask is fused to your face
Yeah,
yet. So it makes sense that he would use it only strategically for like, oh, we're it's game faces on, boom,
yeah.
black mask. Like, but everything he does there, I'm like, I like it. I like what Ian McGregor's doing. Like seeing him as a villain. And did we get the thing that we were rumored to get, where he's running around because they've got leverage on him and all of that? No, but was he effective as a villain? Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So where would you put him?
I had him at A.
All right.
I'm just a big fan of Ewan McGregor.
A it
Next
is.
is
Mr.
Victor
Zaz.
Zaz.
Was his name Chris Messina?
Hmm.
Is that who it is? Wow. All right. Uh he's fine. I would put him at B or C.
Yeah,
I think it's so tied to the Black Mask of it all that he plays his part properly and doesn't, for me at least, elevate to like Feora level of like, oh, I would watch just her doing scenes on her own. I was like,
hmm.
I think the only reason I would care about him is if it's in relation to Black Mask,
Yes.
like if he's sharing a scene with him.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm good with that.
So where would you want to put him?
I had him at C.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. There's nothing
Cheetah.
overtly bad about him. He just isn't rising above it all.
Yeah,
Yeah, Cheetah. Okay,
I have Cheetah at F.
I had her at C. All right,
I
let
had
me
her
hear
at
you on your
F
F.
because I'm just like, man, you really just don't want people to help you out. Like Wonder Woman through the first few points, I'm like, she's actually being nice to her and all this kind of stuff. It's just like this comes out of nowhere. I get she's possessed and all this I'm like, I don't get where that hatred comes from. I really, really don't. And
I
it
don't get where
just,
the hatred comes from, but I
yeah,
feel like once it's there, she is like truly putting Wonder Woman through it.
sure.
Uh, she looks like what you would do for the comics once they get there.
Yep.
And writing wise, I don't get how they got there, but the arc
Hmm.
makes sense to me of like this woman who is just like, uh, I mean, I guess it's so close to the Catwoman, like the Michelle Pfeiffer thing, that I like it a bit more. I just think that ultimately not a great villain, but it's also in a terrible movie, like a movie that makes terrible decisions all over the place.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so it's hard for me to divorce that from what actually is the character,
Right.
and forces that aren't affected by decisions made by filmmakers that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big part of why I put her at F. I'm just like, this is just a terrible movie that I never, ever, ever want to rewatch again.
How
And
about D? I just think that
I'm good with D. I feel like there was a lot of hate unnecessarily put onto Cheetah based on my dislike towards that movie.
uh okay, we're there. Max Lord, Pedro Pascal. I
Yep.
also have him at D just because I'm like, in hindsight, what a weird ass story. Like, just
Oh
it doesn't
yeah.
really. Again, it's in this movie that's making terrible decisions, but I feel like he might have the cleanest story, like just trajectory,
Hmm.
and I'm still like, I'm just not interested in seeing him again for this version of Max. I know they already cast Max Lord again, but I'm just like,
Hmm.
not interested in this
Yeah.
interpretation.
Yeah. I had him at C originally
Okay.
just because I'm like, yeah, you do look comic accurate. But I mean, like, comic accurate is just a guy in a suit. So bar was set pretty low, and did he actually get to change a lot of the world? I didn't like that. It was like, oh, the 80s was consumerism because of him. But I'm like, no, it's because
Yeah.
it's a self-indulgent generation.
Again,
But
going against the initial Wonder Woman storyline of like trying to place it on one person as being the cause. Yeah,
yep.
just it is a terrible movie. There is no doubt about it. I know people want to defend it as just being fun, but there's so many decisions made that don't make sense for the world they built around just Diana. I'm not even
Yeah.
talking about the DCEU.
Yeah, it's true. It's just like all these different things. It's just like people that want to defend that movie, I feel like are just secretly being defensive about their own shitty decisions and being like, no, I should be able to like enjoy myself. I'm like, okay, but not at the cost of another human being. Like that's the whole point of the movie. It's just you're violating another human being's
Yeah.
like everything, and just
So
like that's villain level shit.
I don't feel that strongly about it. So if you want to, I'll keep him at C. But I will just once again throw out there that he could be a D level
Okay, we'll
character.
put him at D. We'll put him at D for sure. I mean, ranking him higher than Cheetah seems weird uh, for such a
Yeah, I
universally
think they
bad
both
movie.
suffer. Uh, anyway, yeah, I'm putting him at D.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bloodsport.
Idris
Idris
Elba.
Elba.
He's another A for me. I think he's great.
Yeah.
Another person that like you get what his motivation is. He
Hmm.
needs his daughter to not see him in a certain light.
Hmm.
Kind of the Ant-Man thing. I think they were going for with that, and
Yep.
he's truly good to go. Like his ability to make the weapons. I know in the comics it comes from a different universe, but I thought they had an elegant solution for that uh, in universe.
Yeah.
And he was yeah, I just really liked him as Bloodsport. I can't believe I forgot his name already.
Yeah, I a huge Idris Elba fan. Loved the self-awareness of that whole thing where it's
You
like,
just
yeah,
explained what I do.
he is like, oh, he's one of a kind. It's like you just did. You said that about me. Like that is so funny to me, and it's just so good. And that's just more of a James Gunn thing, and how well done that movie actually is. And of course, there's no doubt about it that originally, like, probably they wanted Deadshot again in there, and they had to shift. And
Something tells me
I don't.
James Gunn did not want James that shot in there again.
Well, fair enough, but I mean, either
Something
way,
tells
this
me he was
is.
always like, I want to work with Idris Elba.
Yeah, but I'm sure like Will Smith didn't, because Will Smith did not want to come back for that, right?
He said he wants to. I mean,
Hmm,
I don't think there's any point in looking into that. I think
fair enough.
with these actors, it's like, do I want to do something that I know for sure will be made and put out? Yeah,
Hmm.
I would like to do that.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, yeah, A tier. Now, Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, John Cena.
I have him at S tier.
He's yeah, I can't deny that, especially when you get to spend the time with him in the show,
Hmm.
that you feel closer to him and like him more.
Absolutely.
Uh,
It really, that show put so much into context and all that kind of stuff, and
but
like,
even remembering the movie you meet him in, when you're like, holy shit, like they are making him the villain, like they are committing to
mhm,
it. I think why we like the Suicide Squad is that it actually commit to being like, what if you had to follow the bad guys? And so
mhm.
seeing things like when Peacemaker's like, this is the mission, so I'm going to kill Rick Flag, and this has to happen. You're just
Yep.
like,
He
holy shit!
he
Like they're not backing away. They're not making him likable in that way of doing the right thing.
mhm.
It's like, wow, good. They really commit to it.
Yep, absolutely. He executes on that plan. He executes in his own show. Obviously, he prevents the thing from happening,
He
and
kills his
uh,
dad.
he kills his dad, the racist. And I'm a big fan of that because he's like his character there being all of a sudden self-aware of what he's doing and all these kind of things. It's just
And that he's still
it,
haunted by it. But they didn't just go like, good,
yes,
they killed the. It's the Wonder Woman thing in actual action of like,
absolutely.
okay, I killed him, but now what? Like,
Yep.
it's just still, I still have to deal with everything he put inside of me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's why I haven't asked. And then it's just like the idea of like, yeah, he looks comic accurate. It looks
yeah, oh
goofy
yeah.
as hell, but it looks comic accurate. He
Uh,
he executes.
and
He's
in
a
that first
sleeper.
movie, really just really going down on like the whole bit of that character is like he'll do anything, even if it's bad for peace. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah, I believe that from him.
I just love the idea of like what was that little rant? Like I'll suck all the dicks for peace and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. I'm
I'll
like,
suck a
this
whole
is
bag of dicks. Yeah,
hilarious. Like I'll suck a whole bag of dicks. And I'm like, he John Cena is just such an underrated comedy
he
actor, and is
commits.
it's he commits and
He's
is
not
so
afraid.
good. Yeah.
Uh, okay, Ratcatcher 2, Daniela Melchior or Melchior
Mhm.
maybe. Uh, it's I like her a lot.
Yep.
I think she has the whole running thing with her rat and trying to get Bloodsport to get on board with her rat. That's all good
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, it sounds like I have something negative to say. I don't. I'm just saying I like her, and she did a good job. It's just of the team. If we're talking about villains, I'm kind of like, yeah, she's stealing. I don't know if she's like she's breaking the law, but what is I think it's more like when you put her up against like even Bloodsport or Peacemaker who are like, I'm willing to take out all of these people who are actually our
Hmm.
allies just for the stick measuring contest.
Hmm.
I'm like, she's not that bad compared to the
No,
rest of them.
she's got a moral conscience, right? She's got everything,
She's
all that
there,
kind of
like her
stuff.
dad taught her a bunch of stuff.
Hmm.
It's all very touching. Uh,
I put her at A because I like her character, but to me being like you said, as a villain, all that kind of stuff, her plan is just like her plan was just to basically stay alive and not really push it too much and get some years shaved off her sentence, which she did. Good for her. And seeing how all those rats actually were pivotal to the plan in
mhm.
regards to actually taking out Starro was to me the most exciting thing about that. I'm like, oh, that's wild. That's actually wild. It's terrifying and it's wild. Um, Rats are crazy.
All
So
right,
yeah, I have her at A.
Polka Dot Man, David Dastmalchian.
Okay. I have him at S tier.
I can't do that.
I
I can't.
love Polka Dot
I
Man. I
can't
was
do
like,
S
this
tier.
is one of the silliest things in the world. I
I can.
love David
I see him as
Dalmatian.
A. I can't do
Yeah,
S tier.
you
He's
can't
not.
do it. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I just thought that like, oh my God, that the whole like I only see my mom and like when when you see
I think it
Starro
makes him an
changing the mom.
engaging character, but I'm
Yes,
like,
fair enough.
yeah. I think he's a great character, kind of like El Diablo, where you're like, I mean, based on the actor, you're not like, oh, this will be a nothing thing, but
Hmm.
if you didn't have any like context for the actor, you would be like, yeah, whatever, Polka Dot Man, and then they get you there by the end of the movie of caring about him, especially when he dies or whatever. But like, I don't know about S tier.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's definitely a biased thing for David Dalmatian and how what he brought to that character. Because to me, I'm just like, Polka Dot Man seems so goofy as hell, and for them to actually make me be like, oh yeah, maybe don't fuck with him. All, all this kind of stuff. It made me see it with rose tinting glasses. So yeah, I'll settle for A. I'll settle for A. Next
King
though, King
Shark,
Shark.
Sylvester Stallone. I have him at B. I understand that he's a
Same.
cool character to be around,
Yep.
but I'm like kind of a doof. They made me feel bad for him when I was like very clear he just wanted friends.
Yeah. He's the I am Groot of this, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's in terms I will say the comic accurateness of it for a King Shark that just looked like a kind of chubby shark instead of the terrifying versions that were before and all that kind of stuff. probably brought it down a little bit to me.
I
Don't get me
think
wrong, I thought
it
it was
was good
good.
because it's in the era of that Harley Quinn show where he looks
Yep.
it's not the same characterization, but it's a similar look, but they made it their own. I
Hmm.
think that's what works for me about it.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously they were trying to. It's James Gunn. He's probably trying to do his Groot thing again, which is fine.
Yep.
But yeah, I we agree he's at B.
Yeah. The Thinker, played
Peter
by Peter
Capaldi.
Capaldi.
I also have him at B. Like it's like yeah,
Yeah.
he's there. He's doing his thing.
Yep.
But he's not. Yeah,
Is this plan successful? It was up until that point. Uh,
it worked up until he had any type of pushback.
yeah, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, his plan was successful as long as nothing got in his way. The moment anything did, disrupted immediately. So, like, how effective was he as a thinker? He looked good. Do
He
like me
looked
some
good.
Peter Capaldi, but that is not an A tier villain to me.
No.
I am very happy with a B.
All right, Starro. Great last words. A. All right.
Yeah. I think Starro was so funny. I think it was so cool. And the moment you see what Starro is actually capable of, you're like, oh, yeah, don't fuck with Starro. But also like you feel empathetic because you're just like, oh, they did colonizer shit where they just trap something and just
Yeah, I would have been happy just floating, looking at the stars.
yeah. But that's why I have him at A because I'm like the design of Starro was great. It was funny. It was great. It worked for me. It really, really did.
Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson. I'll let you take the
C
lead. See, perfect.
C tier.
If anyone wants any further comments on that, they could listen to our Black Adam episode.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
that sounds dismissive. I think the main issue here is the reluctance to make him any sort of anti-hero, even though he should just be a villain. Like
Yes.
for his first go around, and in a universe where they showed that you can do it, like
Hmm.
uh, just have him face off against other villains. I think, including the Legion of Superhero, whatever the fuck they were called, Justice Society, was like
Yep.
you're trying to make him the villain, but then you make it very clear that he's got a point, and the people are like rooting for him when they're like, "Fuck you, America, get out of our business. You never wanted
Yeah.
to help before." So I'm like, so it's not, yeah, like it's just not. It's very conflicting, and he's out. So there's that.
Yeah, and just like oh, and this is totally the Rock's ego, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's totally Rock's ego. Players, you can't make me the actual villain. I have to do this, and I can't excuse him for the idea of like, oh, you're the reason why Shazam and his most famous villain don't ever like fight together, which is stupid. It's so stupid,
yeah.
and
It's
I'm
annoying.
like, no, no, and his Dwayne's ego there, it really screwed him over. I mean, C, I think I'm being generous, and because I'm like, yeah, he committed, he looked the part, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, maybe you don't do the American accent with a
Yeah.
character that you're
Again,
clearly
they
putting
even had
into
an
the
out
Middle
of
East.
being like, "Oh, he just learned from watching all that American stuff, and
Yeah,
that's just how he ended." But it's like, I
no,
think they were just like, "Nah, that's just
no.
how he talks."
I
Okay,
mean, he does
uh,
some cool things, but that does not make a good villain to me.
Sabak, Marwan Kansari. That was a confident way of saying it.
Mhm.
It's Jafar from the live action Aladdin. Uh, not memorable at all.
Yep, yep.
I mean, I don't put him. The only reason I don't have an F is because I'm like, they at least cared about him. I think the three
Hmm.
people we have at F right now, there was no care put into their characters whatsoever.
Agreed. Yep.
So I'm just gonna put him at D.
That's what I had him at. I'm just like not a memorable character, nothing offensive about it. Looks sure, whatever, but it's not an F. It's
No.
definitely not an F. Like the
Oh
people we put
man,
at F, I'm like, there's a reason why we put them at F.
man, I honestly would have got this wrong if this was a trivia question. So apparently Helen Mirren in Sam 2 is Hespera.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I didn't remember that being her name. As I said when we reviewed it, she seems like the least essential character, or yeah,
Mhm.
not or. She seemed like the least essential character. She's having a good time. I liked her performance, but you just need Rachel Zegler and Lucy Liu in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, Helen Mirren was just like, oh, cool. Helen Mirren's having fun.
Yeah,
That's
I'm happy
great.
for her. I They filmed it, so I'm glad they kept her stuff in there. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
she just seems like weird with Lucy Liu for no reason. Like she'll say something, and
100%.
Lucy Liu will be like, "Yes, let's do that." She's like, "Hey, fuck you, don't say that." And I'm like, "What are we doing here?"
Yeah, it was weird because like you would think with three sisters there'd be three different point of views that would
Yeah,
conflict.
it's
No,
just two
it
points
was
of.
just yeah, it was Helen Mirren's character was just like, all right, y'all pitch me your ideas and I'm gonna side with one of you. Like that's what it felt like, and I'm like, oh, that sucked. But it was fun watching her do her thing. We got to see her ride a dragon. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I can put her
But
at C.
yeah, yeah, that's what I have her at.
Okay, excellent. Uh, Also, I am just skipping over Rachel Zegler's character because
Because she ain't no villain. She ain't no villain. She's a
yeah, it
hero.
doesn't really feel like she was ever truly on board with the villainous stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, she was
Uh,
definitely not. She was trying to change a new leaf, rebrand herself, so to speak. But Calypso, though, she was clearly a villain.
and I'm glad she stuck with it.
Yep.
As I
And
said, I thought she was. I don't think she's higher than a C. If I'm being honest, I just feel like she was at least like, these are my feelings. This is what we're
mhm.
gonna do, and we're gonna make them pay for what they did to us.
Yeah. So I had her high, I had her at B largely because I was like, okay, you actually did have an opinion. You had a plan. You did all like, was the plan successful? Obviously not. But I mean, I don't know what Calypso looks like in the comics. I'm just like
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
this. I
sure
don't
it
know
definitely doesn't look like
Shazam.
Lucy Liu, but like I'm like sure, whatever.
All right,
Uh,
B it
but yeah,
is.
C.
A
I'll
C.
I'll
You're
I'll
gonna
settle with C because
okay.
I'm not making a strong case for her to be at B. Yeah,
All right. So we are down to Carapax. Raul Max Trujillo.
yep,
This is Blue Beetle, obviously. I uh,
yes,
I don't know. It's, he's certainly menacing at times.
yes.
As I said when we reviewed it, the idea that they would keep his backstory until seconds before he dies, and that the
Yeah.
director was like, "Yeah, that was a good idea I had," makes me say, you know what? It takes different strokes for different folks. I can't shit on that.
Hmm.
All I can say is it's not how I would have done it. It
Yeah.
felt like you could have a richer story if that was information everyone was working with, and you felt some kind of desperation to fold him into the family, and still like Killmonger be like, no, I'm just still mad, so I'm not gonna be the good guy.
Hmm.
Uh,
But no, we place
they
all
didn't
the
go that way.
blame on Susan Sarandon there. It did not go that way, and it just like the director made a bad call there. But yeah, it's certainly menacing, like you said. I don't know if there's any comic accuracy there. Certainly didn't have his own plan. He was mind wiped for the whole thing. It's hard for me to put him above um like a C, basically. I
How
think
about
he's a
D?
C.
You think he's a C? Sure.
I think he's a C, but that's largely because I'm like, oh yeah, when I did get to know more about your character, I actually did care about it. But then we have to kill you off in 5 minutes. It sucked, and I think it was well written, but it sucked the delivery. I have no problem putting it at D. No problem whatsoever. And finally, Victoria Cord, played by Susan Sarandon.
Hmm. I think she. I don't like the term too on the nose. I think what didn't work about her for me was they had a very clear. Obviously, this movie was not interested in a lot of nuance, but I thought they had a very clear in with her weaponizing the misogyny she faced as
Yes.
like an excuse to do a bunch of terrible things.
Yep.
It is just mentioned like, oh yeah, like you got picked over, but then they just went with she's racist and making her like do things like using the wrong name for her Latino staff members, and I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I again, it's more interesting for me if you are showing that the bad guys aren't just the ones that'll use the wrong name for you. Like sometimes the bad guys are the people that don't see the intersectionality of them leveling up and how that might affect other people. So I wasn't a big fan of that. I don't think it's worth getting into comic accuracy because I'm sure there is a character named that, but I don't think she serves the same purpose.
No. And also in regards to plan, it was just like you said, I'm just like, oh, you're using a lot of different excuses right now to do shittier things. You know, it's like, yeah, the world around you was misogynistic, but now you're doubling down, you're doing worse things out there, and you're being like, it's because I got overlooked for this position. I'm like, that's not right.
No.
No. So I have her at D.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Largely because I don't think that the Blue Beetle movie was too interested in needing a very, very big villain, and it was more interested in establishing the character of Blue Beetle, which I'm fine with. I had fun with that movie.
Yeah.
But it makes a very ineffective villain, 100% to me.
All right.
So, yeah.
That's all we have. We did it. I will go from F tier to S tier. You can let me know if you want to make any changes when you hear this out loud. At F tier, we have KG Beast, Mercy Graves, and Slipknot.
Yep.
At D tier, we have Killer Croc, Enchantress, Steppenwolf, Cheetah, Max Lord, Sabak, and Victoria Cord. At C tier, we have Ares, Darkseid, Mr. Mind, Victor Zaz, Black Adam, Hespera, Calypso, and Carapax. At B tier, we have Doomsday, Joker, Boomer, Diablo, Ludendorff, Orm, King Shark, Thinker. At A tier, we've got Zod.
Theora Ul.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'll fall on that sword.
Deadshot, Dr. Poison, Black Manta, Dr. Savannah, Black Mask, Bloodsport, Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, Star. And at S tier, we have Luther, Harley Quinn, Amanda Waller, and Peacemaker. Do you think our A tier is too full, or are you fine with that?
I'm fine with the A tier being like that. Okay. I personally think like they did do a lot of different things. They just couldn't get over that hump of truly being a fantastic character. But they were good characters that we have in the A tier for sure. Okay. But yeah, I'm okay with that A tier being loaded. Because to me, DC has always been better at doing villains. So I just think that they eventually had to find their footing in regards to which villains and which directors and which filmmakers were able to actually bring those villains to A tier.
Yeah, well, we did it, guys. We did our villain tier list for both MCU and DCEU. So you know what that means. The next time we do a tier list, we're going to be doing heroes. So get excited about that. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We are part of the That Shelf Podcast Network with other great shows like Bad Game Movies, Contra Zoom Pod, Springfield, Googleplex, and more. So please go to thatshelf.com. You'll find those shows, our show, and other shows. If you want to hear older episodes of our show, please go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten or subscribe or follow on the podcatcher of your choice. We're on most of them, if not all of them. And if you want to get in touch with us, we are at TDS Spoiled on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. We also have an email, which is spoiledpodcast@gmail.com, so you can get in touch with us how you feel necessary. Yeah, this was fun. I do like doing the tier list.
Yeah, lists are good. It's
so
nice and organized. It's awesome. I love that. I love it so much.
All right, then. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.